Hi guys, welcome to day 14 of the 20 days of Power BI challenge with Zakra Learning. I hope the journey has been fantastic so far for you. We've learned a lot, but there's still a lot more to learn. Over the next few days, we'll be talking about or learning about DAX, data analysis expressions in Power BI. If you're a Power BI user already, you know that DAX is a powerful formula expression language that is used to solve complex calculation and data analysis problems. DAX functions help you to summarize data, perform calculations, and analyze data in a more efficient and effective way. So today, we'll be learning about DAX, what DAX is, why DAX, data model components, DAX function categories, data types in DAX, and some common DAX functions. So let's get to it. Now, for those who are new to Power BI or who are new to the concept of DAX, DAX stands for data analysis expressions. Okay, so it is a formula expression language. It's a functional language, right? Used in Power BI to perform calculations and data analysis. So it is very similar to Excel formulas. If you are familiar with Excel and functions, formulas in Excel, DAX is very similar to functions in Excel, but it has more advanced features and functions. So like I said, DAX is a functional language. So it uses functions to manipulate its data. So why DAX? Why should you learn DAX? Okay, so beyond creating visuals, beyond using Power Query to transform and extract data, you can use DAX. All right, DAX allows you to perform complex calculations. It allows you to summarize data using measures. All right, we'll learn about creating measures. It allows you to analyze your data efficiently by creating calculated columns. All right, DAX also gives you the superpower to manipulate your data to gain more insights. So before we continue, let's quickly look at DAX or the data model components in DAX. All right. In some of our previous lessons, you learned about data models. All right. Now DAX works better with data models. All right. The better your data model is, the better the kinds of DAX functions that you can create, that you can write. All right. So some of these model components, you might be familiar with them, but let's still go over them one more time. So tables, all right. So DAX work with tables. Tables contain what? Rows and columns of raw data. The table stores your data. So that is the base. The base is the what? Table. So in tables you have rows and you have what? Columns of data. Next is the relationships. That's the kind of relationships between those tables. All right, that is your data model itself. Okay, the data model is just the relationship between two tables. All right, so the relationship can have different cardinalities, one to many, one to one, many to many, like that. All right, but it's always advisable to have a one-to-many relationship in your data model. Okay, so another model component is the calculated columns, which you will see in subsequent classes. All right, so you see that you can extend your tables with new columns derived from what? Existing data using DAX formulas. And finally, measures. Measures help you to summarize your data from related tables using DAX expressions. Okay, and you can also use functions which we will look at, like averages, aggregation functions, all right, averages, sum, ratios, and so on and so forth. Awesome. So having seen some of these DAX components, let's take a look at some function categories in DAX. Okay, function categories in DAX. As a matter of fact, there are over 200 functions in DAX. So since DAX is a functional language, you are rest assured that there are lots of functions that you can combine to perform your data analysis tasks. All right. Now, those functions can be categorized as follows. Okay, you have the what? The text functions. All right. You have the logical functions. All right. Logical functions help you to add conditions. All right. To evaluate your formulas based on conditions. All right. So some of those functions, your if and your or statement, logical functions like the switch function also fall under logical functions. Next, we have text functions. All right. DAX has, the DAX language has several text functions that you can apply to manipulate your data, string data. All right, like concatenate, replace, left, mid, format function, extract, replace, substitute. There are lots of lots of text functions. Okay, so if you are familiar with Excel already, all these functions will not come as a new concept to you. Another function or group of functions are the date and time functions. All right, there are lots of date and time functions. Okay, your date, your month, your year frac, your day function. All right, all of that, they are grouped under what? The date and time functions. Number 4, you have the aggregation functions. All right, aggregation functions help you summarize your data. What do we mean? When you use aggregation functions, the output is always what? A single value. All right, it summarizes your data. You can sum, you can count, average, maximum, minimum, standard deviation, and so on and so forth. All right. Iterative functions that perform calculations using loop. Okay. Now, some of these functions we've seen before, their context is column wise. All right. So they perform that calculation on a column and return a value for you. Calculation functions, all right, has what? This row context. All right. So it loops through every row in that table or in that column that you've specified in your function. All right, and perform calculations based on the expression you have specified, and a filter, optional, but you can apply filters to focus that calculation on a specific part of your data. Next is the time intelligence functions. All right, so these functions allow you to have a better grip of your trends and pattern. All right, to format or to customize calculations on date columns. All right, so we have the date add, date in period, year to date, date same period last year, and a lot of more. Now, if you go to the Power BI documentation online, you'll find lots and lots of resources for performing or for working with DAX formulas online on the Microsoft Learn Power BI DAX documentation page. All right. So now, before we continue, let's look at data types in DAX. All right. Since we know that your DAX formulas allows you to calculate, here are some DAX functions: calculate, sum x, average, minimum, maximum, concatenate, all right, filter, all, related, switch, all right. These are all common DAX functions that every beginner or user of DAX should know. Okay. Now, just like you have in Excel, the data types in DAX are virtually the same. All right. Your whole numbers, all right, whole numbers, decimal numbers, currency, date, time, your binary, that is the true or false or Boolean data type. You also have your blob, that is the binary large object data type for storing images and media files. Okay, so you also have operators in Power BI. Okay, comparison operators, your greater than, less than, your logical operators like we've seen for logical functions. You also have the arithmetic operators also. Arithmetic operators allow you to perform calculations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, functions like that. So without further ado, let's see how we can apply some of these functions in Power BI. Right, so we're now in our Power BI interface. We've been using the Superstore dataset for our learning so far. Okay, so we're going to look at how to use some of these DAX functions. All right, some of the DAX functions we just learned about. Okay, so we'll start small and then build on that. Good. Now, if you're an avid DAX query writer, all right, Power BI has provided a view for DAX queries. Okay, so Power BI has provided a view rather for DAX queries. You can write your queries here. You can run them. Power BI stores them for. Power BI stores those queries for you. Okay, Power BI stores the queries for you as part of your report. Okay, now, however, you can also write your queries directly from the table view. Okay, you can write it directly from your table view. Now, a lot of times, your queries will, or your DAX formulas, right, will result in writing, creating maybe new columns, new calculated columns or measures. Okay, so whichever one, you can use the formula bar to write your formula. Okay, so if we go to table tools, so let's see some of the formulas we can use in today's class. Awesome. So let's say you would like to calculate, or let's say you'd like to apply a condition to discount column to find out those products, all right, or the sales that were given discounts and those that were not given discounts. All right, then you can add a new column. Can you see that? A new column, a calculated column to the fact table. All right, so let's click on the new column. Now, from here, you can calculate, or you can type your formulas to create the calculated column. Alright, so let's use our conditional formatting. That is, maybe we'll use the if function. You can either use the if function or the switch function. The if function or the switch function, right? Switch is much more readable and straightforward compared to the if function. So I'm going to show you how to use both of them. So let's give our column a name. Right now I'm going to call it discount status. Now when working with your index, it's advisable not to give spaces between your column names. If you do, there's no problem, but it's advisable not to do that. Alright, so we'll call this discount underscore, or just discount status. Discount status equals, so we'll use the if function. If function now. So if, okay, so as soon as you begin to type, PowerBI suggests, or the DAX functions that match the text you have written, the letters you've typed, alright, begins to appear. You can use your tab key to autocomplete. Alright, as soon as you select that function, PowerBI displays the purpose of that function and the arguments that the function will take. Alright, so what are these arguments? Arguments are the ingredients you put in your function in order for it to perform the task. Alright, so when you look at the top here, you see the name of the function, if. Alright, after the function you have what? Curved bracket, parentheses. Alright, now the parentheses, inside the parentheses are where the parameters or the arguments, alright, lie. So you provide these arguments as values from your table. It could be table names, it could be expressions, it could be even other functions. Alright, so you provide them, and then that's, or the function uses that information to return an output. So your function is just a group of formulas, alright, that takes input, processes that input, and returns an output. So in this case, your inputs are the argument. So when you look at this, every argument is separated by a comma. So the logical test, alright, is the first argument, followed by the result if true, and lastly result if false. Arguments that are in square brackets are optional arguments in DAX. Even in Excel also, when you see arguments in square brackets, it means it is optional. Alright, you don't have to provide it. If you provide it, fine. If you don't provide it, the function will still run. Good. So this function, if function, has two compulsory arguments, the logical test and result if true. Okay, so what is our logical test for this function? We want to specify a condition. All right, a condition that if met, that is if true, will return a particular value, and if false, will return another value. All right, so now let's write our logical test. Now before we continue, you notice that whichever argument you are currently on or entering will be highlighted in blue in the hint up here. So there's enough guide for you to start to write your own DAX formula. Okay, so now the name of, or the column on which the condition we are about to write type, alright, or enter is the discount column, and it's in the what? The facts table. So the moment you begin to type discount, see it has been suggested for you. So you hit the tab button to autocomplete. Alright, so how does this discount work? Okay, when the value is less than 0, when the value is 0, that means there was no discount. If it is greater than 0, that means discount was applied. So if discount is greater than 0, that's the condition. So if it's greater than 0, that means discount was applied. So we want it to return a yes. Alright, and if discount was not applied, then we should return a no. So a new column will be what? Created for us. Okay, a new column will be created based on this condition, yes and no. So when you're done with your formula, you can hit enter to run it. And if the space for writing the formula is not enough for you, you can hit this arrow to expand and write more formulas. Another thing you can do is to write comments. Alright, comment helps you or give a description. It helps you give a description of the formula you have written. Okay, so to write a comment, you hit your / 2 forward slashes. Alright, so double /. Alright, so what do we write as the explanation for this function? So this function or this column or this DAX formula checks if discount was applied. So it checks if discount was applied, and the next thing we'll do is to hit the yes or the enter button, or click on this check mark. You can click this button to cancel your formula. Alright, so enter. So Power BI runs it and adds that column to your data model. Now, sometimes it is better to perform these calculations before bringing your data into Power BI. Why? Because your query will run faster. Okay, it will run faster and the data will not be bloated. Okay. So it has affected formula. So I'll just remove that for now. Enter. Awesome. So you can see that the calculated column has already appeared in the facts table. Alright, so even while it's being evaluated, the calculated column has already appeared in. And how do we know that this is a calculated column? This FX icon right beside the column name, alright, helps us to identify calculated columns. So I'll just minimize or collapse the formulas bar, and then let's take a look at the formula we just or the column we just created. So you can see all the discounted products have yes, while the not discounted products have what? Or no. So you can see yes, like that. So I'm just going to clear that filter. Awesome. So you have calculated or created a calculated column. Okay. Now, this is just an introduction to the concept of data analysis expressions. Tomorrow, we'll learn about creating calculated columns, more calculated columns. We'll also learn about creating measures the day after, and we'll learn about using time intelligence functions to analyze time or date data more effectively. All right, so stay tuned. Join us tomorrow as we continue this journey of learning about data analysis expressions.
See you in the next tutorial. Until then, don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell to get updates on new videos, and share this video with your friends. Bye for now.